And he was a madman going for that outside line, but I rate it.
Thank you, thank you.
Car on your left.
He was gritting your teeth for it.
Stay on the right.
I won.
Don't worry, I won't cause you no hassle, man. I'm not that sort of driver.
Clear.
I didn't really have the brakes to slow down there.
9, 6. Faster traffic approaching. You're losing on the car in front. The gap is 7.8 seconds. Left side. Clear on the left. Car on your left. Clear. The car behind is closing on you. The gap is 6.7 seconds. Faster cars approaching.
Thank you.
You're losing on the car in front. The gap is 1.7 seconds. Faster traffic approaching.
Getting wetter.
Gaining on the car in front. The gap is 1 second. Go left. racing the car behind. The gap is 8.6 seconds. Last lap. Get back in fifth. On the car in front. The gap is 1.1 seconds. Stay on the right. Keep to the right. Clear. Checkered flag, checkered flag. Nice run. Solid work.
Each one of these fans are like 50 bucks too, by the way. And I bought all these. These were not sponsored. So I was like, I am absolutely going to make sure I take them and use them. So you can see the gap right between the fan and the grill in the front. That's about how much I created on the side. And like I said, these never gave me a noise issue, but the side one did. So I'm gonna grab that side panel real quick, plop it on, and see if I can get an idea of how much gap is in there, but there should be plenty. Yeah, so the fans are almost flush with this piece right here, which means I have almost nearly the full depth of this for the blades to be away from it. Oh yeah, you can even see there. Yeah, huge gap. My 6061 aluminum grill cover I made, and it matches, it's on the outside, so it kind of matches this, although the paint's fresh and new versus this is being like a lot older. But anyway, that means all of the positive pressure I'm putting into that bottom, now we'll be able to exhaust out of here. I'm also gonna have the power supply grabbing air from down there and helping exhaust that. I'm not worried about the power supply's capabilities at all in terms of temperature. I'm throwing a 1500 watt in here. It's way more power than even the 5090 needs. So the idea is if I just turn off the 0 dB mode in the fan, and then I can actually, because it is a Corsair fan or a power supply, and it is an IQ like Link power supply, I can go in there and control that fan the same as any other fan in the system. So I'll just set that to like 50% always going or something like that. I did see some comments in the previous video where I talked about making this though, and they were like, hey, I thought these already had holes in them, like the hex pattern. The newer ones did. This is the very first SM-A8 that was ever made in gunmetal. They had white ones already, and they had black ones. This was the very first gunmetal. So if you ever looked at the old school Case Labs SM-A8 page on like the old archived page or whatever, this is that case in all of those product photos. So it had the solid plate down here. I did 3D print one of these, which I could have made work and just been like, boom, done. But like I said, I want that printer or that CNC mill doing things. I also made this, if you guys have been following me on Instagram, I showed all that. This is just a badge painted in kind of a gunmetal that was basically me learning how to use my CNC. It's got chamfered edges and stuff. This just has a stainless steel like simulated paint on top. I don't think I'm gonna use it though. I was going to put it, I was gonna put it right here. I even have a two-tone one somewhere that I painted on the inside and then milled the top to get the paint. I'm gonna still do that, but I was initially gonna throw this guy like right here, which I think still kind of works. But now what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do a smaller logo right here, the Jay's 2 Cents logo, and then Skunk Works right there as just one badge in the middle. I think that's what I'm gonna do, but here's the thing. That's like the cherry on top. I got time before I have to deal with that. I also forgot to point out, thanks to whoever mentioned in the previous video, like, Jay, it's just a 3.5-inch floppy drive. So I bought one. It's cool too because it's 2 USB 3.0 and 2 USB-C, and it's a 20 gigabit port, which means it has just one connection. So I don't have to deal with 2 plugs. It does require its own state of power because of the amount of power that can be requested through there, but that's fine. I'd much rather deal with that than having the USB-C going up front or USB 3 going to the motherboard, which always looks really stupid. But because I disassembled this, now I must do the pressure test again. I took it apart because I had some, like this little debris shit. I had some in between the plates when I put it back together. It's kind of nice and important to pressure test along the way, because then if you immediately start getting a leak, you'll know what it was. Look at that. O-rings are still doing their job. All right, so here's my temperature probe. That is just a normal fitting. That's an extension I need because of the depth of the plate that attaches to the top. It's just a pass-through fitting. Got my RGB cables nice and loosened up. Long arms, okay, there we go. Whew. Cool. Mid plate's in there. It has wiggle and scoot until the tubes are attached. I wanted to point this out. Some people might have looked at this and been like, why is it low like that? That's not gonna be centered. That's gonna bug my OCD. Well, you gotta look where the mounts are. The mounts aren't up here. The mounts are down here. So I did center them on the opening in the grill. It's like I've built this 700 or 800 times. What's throwing me off right now is this is the first time ever, actually, that Skunk Works hasn't had an eATX board in it. So in terms of tubing, I am going to use the nickel tubing. Actually, I'm reusing the tubing from the other build that we did. But I think the tubing, like nickel, is gonna look really good in here. Skunkworks has only ever had acrylic and PMMA. It's never had glass and it's never had nickel-plated brass. But I think it's gonna look real good up in here. What I didn't show you, Phil, that I think you're gonna appreciate, I ordered myself various thicknesses of copper and this big old fat sheet of Delrin. What could I possibly be making or attempting to make that has a copper base and a Delrin top? Comment down below. Proper backing tape for the logo. It's a lot thinner than the normal like backing tape that you would find for automotive for 3M stuff. So it allows me to make my own badge backing. I wanted satisfying buttons. Ooh. So I got brushed stainless buttons.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, brushed stainless buttons. So I'm gonna tie in the nickel color as well as the logo if I leave part of it bare machined. Of course, because there are two different size buttons, a 16 millimeter for the reset and a 19 millimeter for the power button. Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
What?
Oh shit, I didn't get the momentaries.
Oh, is that?
Shit. All right, so at the basement here, I've got a little bit of residue on the edge of that rad. That's okay, I'll flush them after it's together. If they're vertical like this, that is a pain in the ass to bleed, especially on a cross flow, because you could have it only be this high with water and the air could all be up in there. I'm gonna do a vacuum fill when it's time to fill this, hoping to get a lot of that air out, but I've got the crazy horizontal surfaces with the